All right, guys, we managed to pick up Monster Hunter World, the board game, Picking Bones expansion. And before you ask, yes, Monster Hunter World does have a board game. And yes, we do have playthroughs on our channel. This new addition to Monster Hunter World is going to add us 3 new monsters in the 2 to 4 difficulty range. So kind of like a 2, 3, 4 difficulty level going on with these guys. The TziTzi-Ya-Ku, the Great Girros, and the Radabaan. It's going to come with a whole slew of new weapons that we can use, new item cards, some rule changes, and a couple of fancy tokens to help the game play a little bit better and a little bit easier tracking. So let's check out what's in the box. This is a expansion, and the core set is required to play with this. This just does add-ons and doesn't come with everything you need to play. Starting off, we got these quality rule books. The rule books feel really nice. I like the paper that they used for it. It's going to have us some new hunt locations for these monsters, an improvement to downtime activities, all sorts of quests going on for hunting, and of course, all the info about the loot. And the new rules. And we'll kind of talk about some of the new rules that are coming in the game a little bit later. Got a whole set of new tokens. So this adds some little minion creatures. The Great Girros is going to summon some regular Girroses. So there'll be some tracking tokens we have to build here. A new player turn tracker. Some tokens for tracking potions, feints, and I'm not sure what these ones are. We're going to have to figure out what these action tokens are. The Radabaan has some armor tokens, and the Flashy Raptor has some flashy tokens. Do you guys have nicknames for your monsters in Monster Hunter? Because I always do. This is Bone Boy, and that's Flashy Raptor. I never call them by their real names. Next up, we've got this little package here. This is our boss cards. This is going to give us the information about what loot is available on each of the different bosses, as well as what their different kind of effects are. Very sticky. All right. Cool. So the Tsiki Flash, when he reveals a flashy face on his behavior deck, at the start of its turn, hunters in a cone art in front of it are stunned for 2 turns. Jeez. Flip their hunter token face down and remove the flash token. Brutal. All right. So he's got a couple of different versions. He gets a little bit stronger each time. And it looked like the Radabaan has 2 sides to him. Oh, okay, I see how they did it. So now the rewards table is only on 1, and then the 2-star and 3-star is on 1 card to kind of save card requirements, because they all have the same loot. So in the older sets, each card had the loot rewards on the back. Now they're keeping it just on the base one. This is a little bit annoying somewhat, because when you're going to be playing, you're going to have the version 1 on the table so you can look at the rewards at the end when you take them out, while also having the version 2. But it's not too bad and definitely saves on unnecessary little cards. And we have way too many of these, so I get it. Next is our protective seal, protecting our models and decks. Gotta figure out how to get that seal off. Oh, so nice. All right. The TziTzi. Oh man, that thing is killer looking. Such a wild pose, giving it that flashbang look with the curled up claws. I like that they did some flavoring there on the actual base. This gives that Coral Highlands kind of feel that's very unique to the new ones. The old ones did not have that. Steamforged Games on the bottom. All right. Flashy Raptor Flash. Next up is the Girros. This one having that more bony area from down in the bottom. It shows you an arrow of each of the different cones of effect, so you can keep track of what way he is facing. He's giving a wild serpent hiss going on. Let's get some focus in on that. Looking really, really sick. I love the scale texture. They did such a good job of giving it the scale texture here. Looks really nice. I like it a lot. The frills of the cobra-ness feeling pretty sick. I like it. Very hefty. Feeling a little bulky. And of course, we got our big man, the myth, the legend himself, the Radabaan. Oh, man. I love the pose. The spikiness, he's very sharp. This is very pokey. Hurt a little bit. So he's got spiky terrain there on the bottom. It's harder to see his arrows, but they are poking around here or there, giving you somewhat of an idea of where his cones of effect are. God, he looks awesome. He's got this big bony face going on. The protection around him. So he's gonna have these bone markers on him that you have to break off first before you're able to damage him, is kind of how the deck's gonna work, I understand. But we'll check that out once we drill into the cards a little bit. That looks super cool and I love it. We got the spinner things. We'll show how to build the spinners and look at those in a moment. And we got all of our weapon decks, behavior cards. They got bigger. And other weapons. Lots of stuff to unpack. So my concern here is that this doesn't look like enough weapon cards, but we'll see if this covers every weapon in the game. I'm playing one of the Hunter Arsenal weapons that added on later. And I don't want to miss out on my opportunity to upgrade my hunting horn. We'll see how this goes. All right. Looking at our cards. So we got the sword cards. There's kind of 2 sets here. I thought the weapons would actually be here, but no, these are just the action cards. So great sword, dual swords, sword and shield. This is going to give a couple of bonuses. Swarm slash. After resolving this attack, another hunter may move 1 node. Is kind of cool. Draw 1 extra damage card for each other hunter adjacent to the monster. They've added some really cool effects onto these cards, so they're pretty sick. Draw +1 damage card for each other hunter adjacent to the monster. Another player removed, because there's kind of swamp and paralysis cards are going to be kind of playing the same, and then spike guard cards get additional bonus and counterattack, sleeping slash. We're seeing some consistent patterns here. Flame shot is new. Some fire damage cards here. Dragon's fire. That's wow. Why is there fire cards? Which of these guys would give him fire? Okay, we'll have to see how that goes for the bow if we ever play it. We got the insect glaive getting a couple bonuses here. If this card is placed in the 5th slot, do the extra damage, extra paralysis. Other people can move, swarm, increase sticky ammo. Ooh, the lady's gonna like that, right? She likes her sticky ammo. 2 damage, 2 stun, and 2 movement for her. Free movement, flash bomb, stuns, breaks, crazy stuff. This is really good for the heavy bow gun. Ignores 2 points of monster armor. The attack card is placed on the 5th slot. Give it extra stun. Cool. Spiked cluster bomb. When the cards that face up on your stamina board, when you're attacked by the monster, draw a thing and deal damage. Cool. Okay, so yeah, we see some consistencies here. Let's get over to my weapon, because all of them do seem to be here. Nice. Okay, so the Radabaan song list does give me attack up. That's what I was really looking for. Fire resistance boost is also nice, because we are going to be fighting some, like, really mean fire monsters at the very end. The Rathalos and the Azure Rathalos. So I might have to build this thing up before we get to that point in the hunts. Spike Smash has that while this is on your board. Counterattack. Move forward and stun with it. Some sleep attacks. And then some increased damage cards, extra 3s and extra 4s to add on in case you need them from these weapons. That's a cool set of cards. So this pack must be the actual new weapons. All right, so Girros Blades and Malady's Kiss, Spiked Blade, and Radabaan Slab. Kind of one of each, it looks like. So if you're running any duel campaign, you're not going to be running 2 of these sets of weapons. Dual Destroyers, Girros Knife, Malady's Tabar. Some really nice looking, like those bond ones look really cool. And then I guess we got some Rathian stuff going on here, because that's Rathian. I don't even know what this is from. Oh no, that's the Girros. That's the Girros. Okay, yeah, so they added a Rathian bow in here, which is interesting. Girros. All right. Have to figure out how to build some of these and see how our team is going to advance their items and weapons. We got some armor. What we got going on? This hunter can't suffer the stun status ailment from the TziTzi headgear. When this monster plays a water elemental attack, draw +1 damage. Oh, that's actually really cool. Water attack 1. Okay. Okay. Hunters can't suffer the sleep ailment. Kind of sleep resistance going on here. Girros gives you, when this hunter plays a song, that song gains +1 range. That's what I need. +1 to lightning damage, though. I would need a lightning hammer to really make that work, but that's sick. +1 range is huge for me. All the Girros masks giving that is kind of lame, because this is really, really hunting horn specific. I would have liked there to be 2 horn maestros and 2 maybe something else, so that players could have something a little bit different. All of them being the same there, I'm not a huge fan of. When this hunter suffers the paralysis status ailment, discard down to 3 cards instead of 2. A little bit of paralysis resistance. Once per quest, when this hunter uses a paralysis status ailment attack, place +1 paralysis token. Okay, extra paralysis. Bon. Once per rest, when this hunter uses a stun status ailment card, place an additional stun token. More stuns, more sleeps. Once hunter plays an attack card, which grants additional armor, this card gets +1. Okay. Then we got some extra actions. So on the hunts, we can add a couple of these during the storylines of hunting those monsters, dropping everything everywhere. Excellent. Cool. So just some additional time cards and then all those fancy new weapons. All right, slot those in there. And the last set of cards. What's going on in here? So first up is the behavior cards. These they really gave a glow up here in the size, but I don't really hate that because all my other ones are small. And I don't like things not being consistent, but we're going to have to deal with it. So these things have that flash face. If they have that, he stuns everybody in front of him. There are way more of that face than I thought there was going to be in that deck. Okay. Still going, still going, still going. Paralyzing Bite should be the next one. Yeah, okay. So there is the TziTzi-Ya-Ku behaviors. Then we get into the Girros behaviors. He does some pretty high to dodge attacks. That's quite a bit higher to dodge than I was ready for. 5s, 4s, 5s. So he is tougher than I thought. Much closer to a 3 difficulty. Okay. Belly Slam, Swarm. Oh, so now he has this deck. So this is a special side deck that's his little guy deck. So he's got his Great Girros deck, and then there's a small Girros deck that you have to play with while you're doing the Girros game. I don't really know how these come in. Oh, it's this. Whenever this symbol shows up here on one of these behavior cards, you also draw one of these, and these guys do a separate attack. Really low to dodge, but just really frustrating to add extra cards to your board. Could be really, really rough. And then we go into the Radabaan. And he's got some smashes. Again, high dodges, lots of 5s, huge damage output, stuns, sleeps, and all sorts of stuff like that. And then you can pick up what the pack does for your Girros pack. So as the Girros get stronger, the pack beefs up a little bit to 5 HP from 3. So you have to go and beat up some Girroses. Then we got some extra time cards. These are the new time cards. Okay, so this is one of the big rule changes. Paratoads, Sleep Toads, Poison Cups, Nitro Toads, Roars, Vespoid attacks, and Suspended Boulders all get changed in this rule set. So we're going to have to add these in. There's now a 2 dodge effect, so you can put a face down card to dodge the effect if you fail the roll. So on a 1 to 2, your hunter may dodge the Paratoad. So you can put 1 face down card to dodge or get paralyzed. Otherwise, on a 3 to 6, paralyze the monster. So way more often will the monster get affected by this effect. And if you do get affected, you can dodge it for 1 card rather than taking the effect. Is really, really huge on these. All of them kind of have that same jam, except the roar is half, right? On a 1 to 2, discard 1 time card. Yeah, so it's roll and half rounded up. On the roars now instead of the exact number. That killed us on the TziTzi-Ya-Ku. Him getting 2 big roars stopped us from finishing that attack, so they did these changes. The other change is potions. We're going to have to look up these rules because there's potions and rations and whetstones, which are now actions, and I have to learn a little bit about how that's all going to work, so just give me one moment. Okay, so a couple of the rule changes. First up, charged blades get a rule change. Just an adjustment to how the whole stamina system works, and the kinsects get a slight change for the orange kinsect. There's a rule change about how the end of your turn goes. So at the end of your turn, you're going to do pretty much the same things. Flip your hunter token, discard 1 face up or 2 face down, discard any number of attack cards, draw until you have 5, draw a time card, and resolve the unique effect at the bottom, skipping the rest because this covers the rest of that, and then reduce the number of turns the hunters have left to take by 1, which I assume is the time card as well, but maybe they've given us a little timer. On the back of this, it actually tells you what each of the different effects do, so that's kind of cool. A slight change to stun, but a quick reference card is always really handy. Sleep did get a rule change where if you take damage, the effect goes away. That's really nice. Those tokens I didn't know about were starting node tokens. So at the start of the hunt, you place them where hunters can start. Then you go through the hunting phase, and then you can decide those locations based off where those nodes are. That'll just help a little bit on setup because people are always asking me, like, where can I actually start? All right, so reading through it, there are now whetstone cards, ration cards, and potion cards. Anytime the hunt says gain a potion, you take one potion and one ration card and you add it to your supply deck. Your supply deck will also include one whetstone per player. On your turn, at any time, they're gotten rid of non-combat and combat actions, and instead, any time during your turn, you can take one of these cards from the supply and add it to your board to get its effect. If it's a ration or potion card, that card then gets discarded from the deck and no longer exists, but whetstone cards will just go back into the center. Whetstones now go onto your board and say, at the start of your next turn, return this card to the supply and sharpen your weapon. Rations say, at the start of your next turn, discard this card and any number of attack cards on your stamina board. And potion cards say, at the start of your next turn, discard this card and set your hunter's health dial to full. The other unique change is the Jagras Helm. If you have the Jagras Helm that allows you to do non-combat actions and combat actions in the same turn, what it allows you to do is instead of at the start of your next turn, it allows you to instantly get the effect of one of your item cards. You can only play one item per turn though, so that hunter can instantly gain, like, I instantly clear my stamina board, and then that ration is gone and they get that benefit. If you're assembling the player tracker, take this blue front with the player token and the black of the spinner discs, stack them up. Then you got these two little pins. You need a small pin and a big pin. The big pin goes in the back and will poke through. And then the small pin will just press in on top and you give it a nice squeeze. And you got your player spinner. For the Girros spinners, you're going to want to grab one Girros token. They'll have a number in the center so you can track which one is which. Then you grab one of these with their HP pools on it, stack those things up, and again, grab two of these little inserts, a small one and a big one. Big one goes in through the back. Push it through the back of the first one, through the back of the second one, and then take the small one and seat it on through with a tight squeeze. And that's how you build those. So the Radabaan fight is really interesting. At the start, he has some bone tokens on him that's going to give him some extra defenses on his different bits. For each bone token in a bone token stash, the associated body part has +1 armor. So this thing with 4 tokens would have 6 total armor. That's wild. At the end of Radabaan's movement, each hunter moved by Radabaan suffers 1 damage for each node they were moved. These hunters may play 1 attack card face down onto their stamina board to avoid suffering this damage. So if you get shoved around by him, you take damage from his spiky bones. It's crazy. When he upgrades, he gets increased damage from all of his behaviors. And he upgrades again to get increased damage and increased dodge from all his behaviors, as well as just so much more armor going on. Now, my understanding is, but it doesn't say this, but each time he gets attacked with a bone, if you do damage to this part, you take off 1 of the bone tokens. Okay, reading up more on it, it works a little bit differently than that. So, locate the 8 bone tokens. While preparing for the gathering phase, place 2 bone tokens in the bone token stash for each body part on Radabaan's physiology. For each bone token on the bone stash, the associated part gets +1 armor. Each bone token stash is numbered corresponding to the faces of die and can hold a maximum of 2 bone tokens. After resolving an attack against a body part with 1 or more bone tokens in its bone stash, remove a number of bone tokens from that body part up to the break value of your attack card, including any break bonuses. Place each of these bone tokens onto a node adjacent to Radabaan that doesn't already contain a bone token. If there are no adjacent nodes available, place the tokens in the nodes closest to the monster that don't already contain bone tokens. During its turn, Radabaan moves onto a node containing a bone token, roll a die. If the number rolled corresponds to a bone token stash with less than 2 bone tokens on it, place the bones onto him. He's a little bit complicated, so he gets to pick up bones and put them back on him. You need way more breaks to break off those bone tokens before you're actually going to be able to do much damage to him. The change over to downtime activities is just that each hunter can choose up to 3 instead of the whole group have to choose and do the same 3. So one hunter can choose to visit the resource, while one hunter visits the chef and one hunter visits the lodge, and then they can each do a couple of different things bouncing around instead of being limited to only 3 actions and the whole party having to do each of those actions. I was a little bit disappointed because each of the maps shows a new map here, but this map doesn't actually exist. And we don't actually have this like dark purple map to actually play on. So we're gonna have to play on one of our existing maps, just flipped over to one side or the other, and just live with that for the playthrough. But I thought that it actually came with this different map dice, and it doesn't. So that's all the stuff we got in the Monster Hunter World, the board game, Picking Bones expansion. All right, so let's put it all away now. And that's Picking Bones.